Vort on the Parshas Balak. So I heard the following Devar Torah from Moshe Wolfson Shlita. So this week's Parsha, we know that Balak, the king of Tzipor, hires Bilam to go and curse the Jewish people, but Hashem does not allow Bilam to curse the Jewish people, and he turns his curses into blessings. So Moshe Wolfson quotes a Gemara in Masechtas Brachos, which I have up on the screen. Va'amar Rabbi Abahu ben Zutarti, va'amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvida, bikshu lekavua Parshas Balak b'krishma, u'mitmema lo kevuach mishun tarek tzibur. So the rabbis wanted to define what the Torah obligation of Krishma is. Like, what do you have to say to fulfill your twice daily Torah obligation of Krishma? So we know there's the Shema, Baruch Shem, and then Ve'ahavta, and Vahaya, and Vayomer. But the Gemara says that in addition to all of that, the rabbis wanted us also to say the full portion of Parshas Balak, which is this week's Parsha. Now you can imagine that would make Kriya Shema much more lengthy than it is today, and have to do that twice a day? Kind of cumbersome. And the Gemara acknowledges that by saying that the reason why we didn't actually go through with putting Parshas Balak into Kriya Shema is because of how much of a burden it would have been on the tzibor, on the congregation, to have to recite all of that twice daily. Yet the Gemara never tells us why Parshas Balak it should be in Kriya Shema, meaning to the Gemara, it's Pashit. Of course, Parshas Balak should be in Kriya Shema. It's just too long. But wait, why is that Pashit? Why is that simple that Parshas Balak is related to Kriya Shema? Kriya Shema we think of as the first thing we teach our children because it's that important. We teach them how to say Shema, and it's something that a Jew says when he's like departing from this world. You know, there's a lot of other psukim and a lot of other parshas of the Torah that I would have thought are more fundamental to Jewish faith than Parshas Balak. So why does it seem to be so simple to the Gemara that this is something so fundamental it should have been included in Kriya Shema? So Moshe Wolfson quotes from the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that when it comes to anything that happened to the Jewish people in the entire Torah, there's a Masorah about it. It's history, right? Meaning that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know Avraham Avinu. However, I mean, he is offspring of Avraham Avinu. The stories and everything that happened to Avraham Avinu, there was some sort of tradition of it. Now, granted, that tradition was not enough that Moshe Rabbeinu could have written down what he knew from tradition on his own without God's input. God said, no. Whatever I say, you have to write down. But, you know, we know from that the fact that Avraham Avinu was our great-grandfathers and what happened to Yitzchak and what happened to Yaakov through some sort of historical tradition. However, there is one part of the whole Torah that something that happened to the Jewish people that the Jewish people were completely unaware about, which is Parshas Balak. You see, Parshas Balak is dealing between two non-Jewish people, Balak and Bilam. There are no Jews around them, and they're plotting to drop essentially a spiritual nuclear weapon upon the Jewish people. And the Jewish people are just sitting in their tents completely unaware of what is going on around them. We have no idea about any of the conversations that Balak had with Bilam. We weren't there. The whole thing about the donkey, we weren't there. There's no historical tradition. Unlike, you know, at least the 10 plagues. Okay, like we were there to experience that. But what happened with Bilam trying to curse the Jewish people, no Jew saw that actually happening. That was all Hashem. And so the message is that even when the Jewish people are unaware of the dangers that go around them, and we're just living our lives, we don't realize that Hashem is still taking care of us in the background. And he's not always going to tell us, and we're not always going to know the story behind it. But Hashem tells us about what happened to Parshas Balak so that we can extrapolate to real life and say to ourselves, okay, here's an example of where we were completely unaware of what was going on, and look, Hashem took care of us. So I should know that for other events that I'm not aware of, and I should know that there are other events that I'm not aware of, Hashem is taking care of us. So Parshas Balak is an exercise in Emunah. Not only did Hashem defend us when we were unaware of what was happening to us, he also turned it into a schus, into a blessing. So Parshas Balak demonstrates God's tremendous love for the Jewish people and that he's taking care of us even when we don't realize it. So of course that fits into the message of Kriya Shema. So we see how important that this Parsha really is, and that no Parsha should be seen as mundane. Have a great Shabbos.